Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Two Noble Kinsmen and we are almost to the end of it. We get to hear Pirithous tell us a story today in Act 5, Scene 4. This has been quite a story, and most recently we saw Palamon and Arcite fighting. Well, we didn't see them fighting. They were fighting off stage, but messengers came and told Emilia how it was all going, and it turns out that Arcite beat Palamon in the battle to see who could make who touch a pole first. So Arcite gets to marry Emilia, and Palamon was supposed to be put to death, and these things were happening like immediately. So Arcite left with Emilia, and Palamon actually kicked off Act 5, Scene 4, the one that we're in today, just sort of having a good attitude about the fact that he has to die now. He's like, it was a fair fight, and I'm sorry that these guys that fought with me have to die too, but let's go into this bravely. And the guys that are supposed to die with him too are like, yeah, let's do this bravely. And they find out from the jailer that his daughter is doing fine and she's going to be getting married soon to the wooer who is pretending to be Palamon to try to bring her back to her senses. So Palamon and his three guys who are all about to die gave all of their money to the jailer to give to the jailer's daughter for her wedding as a gift, whatever. And then Palamon is like, okay, here we go. And he puts his head down on the block so that it can get chopped off. And a messenger runs in and is like, don't do it yet. Don't kill him yet. And then Pirithous comes in. He's like, wait, before you do it, I have to tell you something. And they're like, what? And then your cousin mounted first bestow on him a black one, owing not a hair worth of white, which some will say weakens his price, and many will not buy his goodness with this note, which superstition here finds allowance. On this horse is Arcite, trotting the stones of Athens, which the Calkins did rather tell than trample, for the horse would make his length a mile, if it pleased his rider to put pride in him, as he thus went, counting the flinty pavement, dancing, as 'twere, to the music his own hoofs made, for, as they say, from iron came music's origin. What envious flint, cold as old Saturn, and like him possessed with fire malevolent, darted a spark? Or what fierce sulphur else to this end made? I comment not. The hot horse, hot as fire, took toy at this, and fell to what disorder his power could give his will. Bounds, comes on end, forgets school doing, being therein trained, and of kind managed. Pig-like he whines at the sharp rowel, which he frets at, rather than any jot obeys, seeks all foul means of boisterous and rough jadry to deceit his lord, that kept it bravely. When not served, when neither curb would crack, girth break, nor differing plunges disroot his rider whence he grew, but that he kept him 'tween his legs, on his hind hooves, on end he stands, that Arcite's legs, being higher than his head, seemed with strange art to hang. His victor's wreath even then fell off his head, and presently backward the jade comes on, and his full poise becomes the rider's load. Yet is he living, but such a vessel 'tis that floats but for the surge that next approaches. He much desires to have some speech with you. Lo, he appears. So, craziness of craziness, Emilia had given Arcite this entirely black horse to ride on, and apparently there's a superstition around all black horses, similar to one about all black cats, that they're bad luck, because Pirithous is like, this was absolute bad luck with this horse, because this horse was walking very gently and very pridefully along the streets, but then something happened. There was a spark. Maybe it was this, he's like, I don't know what caused it, But the horse got spooked and started, flailing around and trying to knock Arcite off of his back. But Arcite was like hanging on for dear life, staying in the saddle, holding on to the horse until the horse stood all the way up. So that Arcite is like hanging backwards out of the saddle, and his victor's wreath falls off. And then the horse continued all the way over and fell square on Arcite. So the horse does like a backflip and ends up crushing Arcite. And Arcite is not quite dead yet, but is not doing well because he just got smushed by a horse while he was riding away to be married. So Pirithous is like, he's this close to dead, but he wants to see you first. And Palamon's like, oh my God. And they bring Arcite in, and he's not well. And Palamon is like, I'm so sorry. This is a horrible thing. And Arcite is like, marry Amelia. I loved her too, but maybe you did call dibs on her. So you go ahead and marry her. And then he dies. So in our betting pool of who gets to marry Amelia, who had Palamon gets to marry Amelia because Arcite actually won the fight but gets crushed by a horse? Whoever that is, I owe you a beer when I see you, unless you're not of age, in which case we'll get some tea. But anyway, there's still a little bit left because, there's handoff Amelia from one cousin to the other. There's a little smidge left. We get to hear from Theseus tomorrow and get to see what he thinks about this whole passing on and letting Palamon live and all that bit. And then we have an epilogue, and then we're done with the two noble kinsmen, and we'll dig into the Winter's Tale next. So that'll be fun. But anyway, come back tomorrow for more of this while we wrap up the two noble kinsmen. I'll see you then. Mwah.